You know, the SAP Cloud Connector, it's like this super important bridge, right? It connects your cloud apps to your on-premise systems. But what happens if that bridge just collapses? Well, today we're going to build a much, much stronger one. Hey everyone, and welcome to the SAPTech YouTube channel. Today, we are diving deep into something really crucial, setting up the SAP Cloud Connector for high availability. We're not just going to cover how to do it, but also why it's so incredibly important. So let's jump right in. Seriously, just think about it for a second. All your critical cloud services, we're talking Ariba, SuccessFactors, the whole lot, they all depend on this one single component to talk to your core systems back on premise. So what happens if that single Cloud Connector instance goes down? Maybe because of a server patch, a network glitch, or a simple upgrade? Poof, communication just stops, dead in the water. That is a huge risk for any business. And that right there is exactly why we need to talk about high availability. The whole point is to get rid of that single point of failure. We want to make sure our business processes keep running smoothly, no matter what hiccup happens on one particular server. So what even is high availability, or HA? Well, to put it simply, it's all about designing your systems so there's no single weak link. It's about having a backup, a plan B that's ready to jump in and take over at a moment's notice. This way, your services stay up and running with as little disruption as possible. And when it comes to the SAP Cloud Connector, the solution is actually pretty elegant. It's called the master/shadow architecture. And it's just what it sounds like. Instead of relying on just one instance, we're going to have two. The roles here are super clear, which is nice. You've got the master node. Think of it as the star of the show. It's the active, primary instance, handling all the live traffic, taking all the configuration changes. And then you have the shadow node. It's like the understudy, you know? It's just sitting there passively, quietly mirroring everything the master does, totally ready to take the stage if the main actor falters. But how does the shadow stay so perfectly ready? Well, it's through a process called replication. It's pretty cool, actually. The second you make a change on the master, like adding a new sub-account or tweaking a setting, it automatically pushes that exact change over to the shadow. This keeps them perfectly in sync all the time. All right, so the theory sounds great, right? But let's get our hands dirty. How do we actually set this thing up? The good news is it's a pretty straightforward process. But you got to pay attention because there are a few steps that are absolutely critical to get right. Okay, first things first, and this one is a biggie. It's totally non-negotiable. Both of your hosts have to be running the exact same version of the Cloud Connector. Next, and please listen to this, take backups. The documentation is really clear that there is no automatic backup process here, so do it manually. Save your configuration. After that, it's pretty simple. You just enable HA mode on the master, tell the shadow where the master is, and click connect. Now, before you even start, here are a few things to check to save yourself a major headache later. You need two cloud connectors, obviously, up and running on different hosts. You're also going to need the administrator logins for both of them. And here's a little pro tip, a real-world warning. Be ready to reset a password. You know how it is? You're logging into that secondary system you haven't touched in 6 months, and yep, you forgot the password. It happens to the best of us, so just be prepared for it. So let's say you did it. You've got it all configured. The master and shadow are happily connected, they're replicating, but how do you really know it works? You can't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. You've got to test it, and that means performing a role switch. And the process itself is honestly beautiful in how simple it is. There's literally just one button, switch role. You click it, and the magic happens. The passive shadow wakes up and becomes the new master. And the old master? It just gracefully steps back into the shadows, becoming the new shadow. Just like that. The roles are completely flipped. Now, hold on. This isn't instantaneous. It's not magic. You should definitely expect a short blip, a brief period of downtime. From what we've seen in the real world, the whole switchover, including getting all those communication tunnels reconnected, takes about 2 to 3 minutes, which, when you think about it, is a tiny price to pay for this kind of resilience, right? So during that 2 or 3 minute window, yeah, all your active tunnels, all those connections to your sub-accounts, they're going to disconnect for a moment. But don't freak out. This is totally expected. They are built to automatically reconnect to the new master node as soon as it's up and ready to go. Okay, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how. But now we get to what I think is the most important piece of information in this entire explainer. There's a secret player in this whole setup, a component that is so critical that if it's not working, your entire high availability setup is basically useless. And the worst part? It often fails silently. This quote from the person who figured this out really says it all. They were troubleshooting a real-world problem where the configuration changes just weren't replicating. And they discovered it wasn't the Cloud Connector service at all. No, the real hero of the story, or maybe the villain if it's not running, is the SAP Host Agent. So let's break this down because it's huge. The SAP Host Agent, that's the engine that's actually doing the replication. It's the service responsible for physically pushing the config from the master to the shadow. And if that host agent service is stopped on either machine, replication just stops. No big red flashing lights, no alarms. It just fails silently. Now, the good news is, the moment you start that service back up, it's smart enough to immediately sync up all the changes it missed. So here it is, the single most important thing I want you to walk away with today. Your high availability setup, it's not just about the Cloud Connector service. Its reliability is fundamentally tied to the health of the SAP Host Agent service on both of your nodes. You have to monitor it. Make sure it's running. It's that important. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? Okay, so you've made your Cloud Connector resilient. That's awesome. But building truly robust systems means looking at the entire chain, link by link. So the question for you is, what's next? What's the next single point of failure you need to tackle in your integration landscape? Hey, for a more detailed step-by-step look at everything we covered, make sure you check out the information we've put in the description of this video. And of course, if you found this explainer helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to the SAP Tech YouTube channel for more deep dives like this one. Thanks so much for watching.